Hi, I'm Professor Terry Bolt. I'll be your instructor for this class. This is Innovation 2100, Technical Writing Presentations Proposals. This is the fully online version for the fall of 2024. Today I'm going to be going over the syllabus and then talk a little bit about the first assignment, give you some structure for how the class will work, and then talk about what we're going to do. I presume you're all familiar with Canvas, so I'm not going to go into details about how to use Canvas. If you are not familiar with Canvas, please email me. We can set up and do a separate MS Teams call where I can go over how to use Teams with you, or how to use Canvas. But this is a sophomore level class. You should all be familiar with this. A couple things about me. So I'll tell you a little bit about my background. So I'm the founder of the Bachelor of Innovation, and I've done a tremendous amount of work in writing and proposal presentations. I've got hundreds of papers. I've done millions of dollars in funding, which is part of why I'm teaching this course, and I have a textbook for you to use. Uh, I actually, when I founded the Bachelor of Innovation, it's because I couldn't find people with the skills I wanted in my own company, and you'll see some of the stories about that in the textbook itself. I'm this is a course I'm passionate about. In fact, I don't need to be teaching it this semester, but I'm just teaching it as an overload because I want to get it in and I want to help students advance. So to contact me, I have an office in the engineering building. By far, the best way to contact me is email. I read email very frequently. And just you can use my UCCS email. Actually, the best way to send email for anything with this class should be UCCS email or via the campus communication tool, which is over here on the left-hand side, whatever side that is. That will actually send me email. You can call me. I'm not very big on text messages at all. I get, for reasons I don't really understand, tons of junk text messages, and I don't really deal with them very well. And when I'm in meetings, my phone will never ring, and I don't notice that I have a message. I was able to set it up so that it will forward all of my voicemails from my phone to text emails, but I don't get my messages that way. So if you want to contact me, send me an email. Use the communication tool within Canvas. If I do not answer an email within 24 to 48 hours, I will probably never answer it. I also get 100 and so emails a day, and if I accidentally get interrupted while I'm looking at something and it's marked as read, I won't necessarily remember to go back and look at it. I'm going to try something new for the first couple of weeks. We're going to see how this works. Even though this class is asynchronous and fully online, one of the feedbacks last semester was that students sometimes had questions about the assignments. And so they didn't, they could wait to my office hours to ask me questions or ask online, but then they would forget. So this year I'm going to try doing something where, at least for the first couple of weeks, I'm going to have an experiment where I'm going to try and make an interactive video session. Mostly I'm going to try and do this on Sundays, which is when I have the time to do the recording, at 4:45. And I'll send out a link. I'm actually going to try and do it through MS Teams and see if people find this valuable. You can attend live and ask questions. Attendance is not required, but you can if you want. And after doing this for a couple of weeks, I'll poll and see if that's adding value to people or if it's just a waste of everybody's time, and I'll drop it. My office hours are going to be Tuesdays, 9:30 to 10:30 in the engineering building and online by appointment. This is a strictly online class, so you can just contact me that way. The course starts this week or next week. Starts it's online, but so it starts, I guess, on Sunday. And it'll be online mostly using Canvas. So this is might be a little different from some of your past 100% online courses. In particular, you're going to have to work with teams of other students. So while we will not have a fixed class time, although I'll be doing some recordings, lots of recordings for you, you will have to find some times to coordinate with other members of the class. And so you'll have to have some part of that is actually interactions. That interaction is perfectly fine with me if that itself is 100% online, but it's not like you can do this completely asynchronous without interacting with other people. You will have to work with them. There is a required textbook. There's actually going to be a link inside the Canvas here, which is my book, which is not yet quite published. It's been accepted for publication, but they're still editing, so I'm just going to give you my own version. There's some books on reserve in the library, and I may refer to some of them, but they're never required. So the textbook is required, There's also videos that are going to be along with this. When we get to the modules, you'll get to see all that. And in this class, we will have some online material that will require that you use the Respondus Lockdown browser and monitor. Since it's fully online, we're going to use that as our way of taking exams. So you're going to need to set that up. I will post some videos later about how to set that up, but hopefully you won't have a problem. That does mean two things. You must have access to a computer with a camera, because it will record you while you're doing the exam, so we can look for any potential issues. Don't expect there will be any, but as a deterrent, that automatically makes things a little bit better. If you do not have access to them, you can use them in the campus library. They should all have this installed, and we can go over that. So the syllabus that I'm going through now is not a contract, but a live document. I've taught this class before, so I don't expect any major changes. I don't even expect a lot of minor changes, but we'll see how things go. Some major items like when is the midterm and the final, those are scheduled. I will not, don't plan on changing those without any kind of advance warning. The final is scheduled by campus, so that won't change at all. The syllabus will probably change as I take advantage of new ideas, availability of a guest speaker, some other opportunities that may contribute to a great class. It is, of course, an innovation. Hopefully we find some good ways of doing it. This adapted as I taught it last year. I don't expect as many changes this year. Some of our learning objectives for this semester include interdisciplinary teamwork and team writing. This is a writing class, but it will be doing a good bit of team writing, although there will be some individual as well. That means working together in groups, but there'll also be some independent work. You're going to be writing, targeting different kinds of demographics, inclusive skills in terms of who you're aiming for. You're going to do some audience and needs analysis. This is a big part of tactical writing, is figuring out what do I need, what do I know about my audience, and how can I make that work. You're all going to work on proposals, both finding potential proposals and then working on writing up key elements of a proposal, maybe doing an entire proposal. That will depend on how things develop over the semester. But we're going to go through the proposal writing class, framework development, and some final execution. So you will all be doing something. My hope is that we will have real grants. I have at least one, possibly two clients lined up for those who want to work with a real client on a real grant that will get submitted. We might have other opportunities where some of you might find your own grants, but you all should be working on a grant that is at least in good enough shape to submit. From my past experiences in this class, not everyone is up to actually doing that, but you're all going to work towards it, and then we'll make the final decision whether or not it's going to move forward and be submitted. Last year, everyone in the class worked on parts of a proposal that were submitted to the state of Colorado. We were unfortunately not selected for funding, but we got overall positive reviews. It's very competitive. And then we worked on some other proposals that weren't in good enough shape to submit, but it's a process. We're going to work the process. We're going to be working on getting you to understand clear writing and telling a story. That's a big part of this class. You'll see that as we get into the book. There'll be some applications of grammatical stuff that goes into it, how to do reviews, how to work with the audience and put stuff together. You need to become aware and self-aware of what you have, what you can provide as a member of a team. You don't have to be good at everything. You might be good at some aspects of a proposal or writing and not at others. And that's part of why we work in teams. You can bring together different skill sets to make it work. As I said, we're going to work on storytelling. At the last end of the class, we'll also work on some oral presentations and speeches you'll get to work on. So a couple of expectations. First, tell the truth, be on time, give your word and honor your word, not just to me, but to your team members. If you tell your team members, I'll have this done by Tuesday, get it done by Tuesday. And if you're not going to get it done by Tuesday, tell them on Sunday, oh, it looks like I'm going to be late and not going to get to Wednesday, whatever. Give your word, try and honor it. Treat each other the way you would like to be you would like to be treated. Respect the diversity of opinions and other people's points of view and choices. There's a whole bunch of life experiences going on for students, and so don't hold people expect them to have the same life choices and schedule that you do. They might have a job, they might have to deal with their kids. So keep all of that in mind when you're looking at stuff. If you have any doubts about what's going on, either about the class or with your team members, ask. When in doubt, ask questions. We do expect you to participate fully and follow through in your responsibilities. I know that not all of you are A students aiming for A's in this class. So you're going to need to set your expectations for you and your teammates. And if you're telling your teammates, look, I only care about a B, that's okay. The grades on all of the teamwork in this class are not necessarily uniform. Team grades, I have no problem having teams get 2 A's, a C, and a D, right? That just is, if that's the work they put in, that's the grades will reflect what you've accomplished and what you've learned. All correspondences should be through UCCS email. You are responsible for reading your UCCS email. The excuse which I've gotten for many years here that, oh, I don't read my UCCS email. Well, that's fine. That's your choice. You just get a 0 on whatever you did. If you didn't turn something in because I sent email making a change to the assignment, that's your problem. You're responsible for tracking announcements through Canvas. In general, I will not just send an email. I will put an announcement through Canvas. And for most of the time, that will also send an email. So you have 2 different ways of checking that. The grade distribution for this class, very standard, 93 to 100A and working down this. So you should be able to track what's going on throughout the semester. The way the class will be broken up, there's really 2 things that you'll be working on, largely individual. Participation, discussion, and journals, which are generally you're discussing things with other members of the class. As an online class, I put a lot of emphasis on trying to make sure we have your participation in such discussions, but there's also self-reflective journals that are really just you're learning on your own. And then there's a number of assignments. Those may be team-oriented, they may be individual, some of both. There is a midterm, and that will drive a big chunk of the class. And then there's a proposal team meeting, which is basically, you've got to be there for the team meeting. It's the only time I will try and meet with the team. I will work to get it scheduled, find a time where everybody can make it. And then your final proposal package, which is 200 points. This is your overall final. I'm going to probably make a change to the course depending on how things go. The way I've scheduled it, a lot of the knowledge material happens before the midterm. But there are some proposal opportunities that I've been looking at that may get me to shift things a little bit. And if I need to, then I will move some of the midterm into a final exam. But I hope to have all of the knowledge material before then, and then we don't have to have a final exam. So we'll see how that goes. Participation. So this refers to your learning experience, your impact on a positive class learning experiences. A lot of that is going to be participation in online discussions, whatever your teamwork is. And your attendance to the online lectures. And this is weird, right? I'm not going to be giving live lectures, but I can tell when you have watched stuff, and so I'm going to see what level you're engaging on in the course. And if you're engaging, that's important. And if you're not, right, this is not a class where I expect you to do nothing and then cram for the midterm. That's not an effective way to learn, and it's not an effective way to work on a team for proposals or do the other things. So it's a quality of your learning that goes on your contributions that you put in, and I'm going to look for those as part of the class participation grade. Participation grades are awarded sort of towards the end of the semester, and that will include asking your team members how they feel the grade for the teamwork part should be split up, so expect to see that as well. In the discussions that are going to happen in this course, discussions are always a multi-stage process. First, you post, and then you comment on other people's posts, and that's going to be how you're going to work, right? Your grade depends on both of those, both on your post, but then your discussion with other people. In general, the initial posts are due on Wednesday, and then your responses, your comments, part of the discussion are due by Friday. There's the due date in Canvas, and the due date in Canvas is always for the initial post, so that you are reminded, oh, I've got to post something. But you have to remember to do the follow-up. Canvas does not have a good way for me to say, oh, you have to post some follow-ups. In some cases, I'm going to be using the Canvas's peer review system where I'll randomly assign you to people you have to reply to. And then other times you'll get to choose people to post on, and sometimes it'll be a mix of these. You're always free to comment on anyone's post in addition to those you were assigned. And if I tell you to do 3 and I only assigned you 1, then you've got to find the other 2, and that'll always be described in the process. As I said, you're expected to attend the online class lectures. There will be sessions like this where I talk about the assignments, and then there'll also just reviews of what's in the textbook. The reviews of what's in the textbook, you can read the textbook if you prefer reading. There's nothing in the videos that are not in the textbook. There is lots of stuff that is in the textbook that is not in the videos because I try to keep them a little bit more concise. So you might still need to look at the book. You can't just count on watching the videos. I didn't put everything in there. They're meant to hit some of the highlights and emphasize key points that are in the book, but you should be reading the book as well. Just attending those is not much of a contribution, but you do have to be involved in them. So take part in the discussions, which I just talked about. There's this personal learning journals, and most of these you will be writing about your learning and objective for the week. You're going to score points for both the content and the writing. This is a place where I'm going to be able to grade you on your individual writing, and so we want to see that you're doing a good job with that. And that might involve using tools. I'm perfectly good with you using tools, and we'll actually talk about some of those in this class. I want to see how you contribute ideas in the converse in terms of the discussions and what's going on. You should be doing the reading and understanding the assignment materials. You actually can lose some of your discussion points if in the assignment I talk about something that's pretty clearly described in the book, and then you ask a question that shows you haven't done the reading, then you're losing preparation points or participation points because you clearly haven't been keeping up. You got to be doing all the readings, make sure you know what's going on. There will be team meetings, and as I said, your team will have an impact on your grade by talking about how they're done. I'm not saying they will be, they could be, right? We have plenty of teams where everyone put in enough effort, everyone gets an equal grade. You are encouraged to meet with me early and throughout the semester. Anytime you have questions, that counts towards class participation. If you have a question, don't worry that the question's dumb, although before you ask the question, you might want to make sure you've done the reading so that you're going to ask a question in a more meaningful way. But don't say, oh, I don't want to lose points, so I'm not going to ask a question. You only lose points if you show that you have not done the reading. If you've done the reading and something wasn't clear, then ask away, right? We want to make it better. A couple of things in terms of the student conduct, right? So we follow the campus policies for student conduct in terms of rights and responsibilities, academic misconduct, copying, cheating, any of those things. I take them all very seriously, so don't do it. Because I'm pretty good at finding this. I've had classes where students have cheated, and I go through the process with the dean of students, and it's not a very good outcome for most of the students that get involved. So you're here to learn, not to get a grade. Workloads for this, this is something that I like to be very explicit about. We expect you to put in 6 to 7 hours per week outside of the lecture time. So if you're watching the videos, and you might, there might be an hour and a half of videos per week, you're supposed to be putting 6 to 7 hours a week outside of that. That would include the reading, that would include any of the writing and working in the assignments. I already mentioned the academic dishonesty. There's a whole bunch of policies that campus has for those. The penalty will depend on the seriousness of the offense. They can range from a reduction to an exam grade of 0. If I find you have been cheating on assignments, I might actually give you a grade of 0 for all of your assignments because I've lost trust that you can be working independently. So don't want to be involved in that. Disability service. If you have a verified disability, you get accommodations for this class. It's your responsibility to contact and register with the disability service offices. They will ask you for documentation to go through this process. And make sure I get that pretty quickly since we'll be going through things. You do have to work on a team. You do have to do a sort of presentation. The attitude that presenting makes you nervous, that's not going to be an acceptable disability. I have to make reasonable accommodations, but that doesn't mean you get out of assignments that you find uncomfortable. So talk to them, see where they are, and we can have those conversations. If you are in the military, and I'll actually extend that, if you are also a reservist, whatever, if you get called to service duty during the semester, let me know, and I'll come up with some way and figure out how to make things work. I've actually had students who had emergency deployment things come up in the middle of the semester. This class is asynchronous. We can make that work. If you are on a sports team, also, I'm not going to move due dates, especially stuff that involves your team. So you got to work up front to know, oh, I'm going to be traveling. I know a lot of students who are on teams like to be in an asynchronous class like this, and I'm perfectly good with that. Just don't expect that things are going to move just because you have a meet this week. You can do a lot of this work remotely, asynchronously, but you still have to work with your team. As I mentioned, you have to be good at Canvas. If you have some issues, contact me. We can make that work. There is a drop date. I didn't actually go look it up. changes every semester, but there's some drop date that we will follow. There's actually multiple levels of dropping, whether you get a grade, where you get your money back. You're a student, you can work through all that. This is a strictly online class, so I don't expect there to be any real issues for sexual violence elimination, but I take this stuff pretty seriously. We don't take any harassment, discrimination, whatever. And so this includes making comments that might be viewed this way with respect to online discussions. So the fact that you're not meeting in person doesn't mean that you can't harass people. So don't. While we take it very seriously, that can get you expelled, depending how far you take it. So anyone that has gone through this, there's many resources listed here. I am a mandated reporter. If you have seen this stuff, if I see this stuff, you report it to me. I am required by law to report it to Public Safety, the Office of the Dean of Students, and go through this process. I'm pretty much always on the clock, so I'm going to report it if I see it. I am not a confidential source. So telling me something in confidence about your work, I can be that. But when it comes to anything related to harassment, sexual harassment, misconduct, all of those things I'm required by law, and I will follow through on that. I will listen with empathy and not blame you. I will refer you to places, and I will support your decision however you want to go. There are a bunch of resources, I'm not going to go through all now, where you can contact people on campus. There's a lot of resources for this. If you're struggling with things, reach out, get help before things get too bad. I have no idea why I haven't fixed the course evaluations. They're set by campus, and for some reason they listed last year's course still. So as you go through the bottom of the syllabus, you'll see the weekly layout of what's due when. Most of the assignments are due by 11:59 p.m. on the day they're due, so like Wednesday, pretty much at midnight. And then the next one is due Friday. So there's some mix of these, and pretty much every week there's at least one assignment due. Sometimes there's two. And that will depend on the size of the assignment. You'll see that some discussions tend to almost always start on a Wednesday with the Friday follow-up. Some of the homework assignments are due on Friday. That gives you more time to get through the reading and work on them and get stuff done. I'm not going to go through all that. So the way the course is structured in terms of modules, right? Each week should have material. Like here, it tells you what to read. This is the link, which is actually the book for the entire semester. And then I will be posting. You'll notice it's not actually posted here because this is the week one course video, which I'm currently doing, and then I will go ahead and post that. And so there should be a link for each of the modules in each week as things go on. There also are links to the videos that are on YouTube. I've actually put them on YouTube. There's an entire playlist, which I guess I'll make sure I put the link up here for the playlist. The one thing about using the playlist is I can't see that you've been doing it. If you're really keeping up and you know you're nailing everything and you've got your class participation and discussion and you find it more convenient to use the playlist on YouTube so you can like download it on your phone and whatever, I'm good with that. I'm not going to hold against people that they're not watching the videos by clicking on it through the system. But if you are not keeping up, then I will say, well, I can't see that you've been doing much. So I do recommend actually, if you're doing it through the system, to go through here. They're currently not enabled. They will be, actually, I guess I'll go ahead and enable this one. I'm going to enable them as the semester goes through, and then other ones will show up. And then for each assignment for generally week 2, it's got all the things that are due that week, putting stuff together with different discussions and assignments. I'm not going to go through them all now. Each week I will make a new video, at least I'm planning on having a video that discusses that week's assignments and what you need to do for them. And I think that's it. If you have questions, please reach out to me. I hope this will be a fun and instructive semester for everybody and a place where you can learn, but also advance your skills on tactical proposal writing.